There's
Because
something
the sun is a
dark
star.
in the basement,
Darker presence,
poltergeist-style
very
activity,
full-on energy,
insanely mysterious,
yourself a
and
cup,
just super
warming
strange and
wishes,
super weird.
magic 8 ball,
I'm already creeped
magic
out.
candle,
Stay spooky,
and now
investigations,
and
deeply
cases
dense, deep and dense.
the witchy world of
So grab a
spells
spooky
and
cup and
casting
join us for this
spells.
practicing
otherworldly
witchcraft
adventure.
punishable.
Don't
by
let
night.
your tea get cold. Yay. Okay, I'm really excited for this. Welcome to Tea Tales and Talks, where we drink some tea, cover a few mystical tales, and talk about a lot of spooky stuff. I'm Sarah, I'll be your host.
And I'm Mackenzie. I'll be your co-host.
All we ask is that you pour yourself a cup and don't let your tea get cold. Okay, we are so excited for this episode because not only are we covering a true crime case, which we enjoy very much, we've been teasing this spooky, strange case for a while now, and we're also excited because we're joined by a very lovely podcast that we have been excited to collab with for a very long time, Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here and thank you for having me. So sorry my co-host Avery wasn't able to join us, but she has very exciting things happening in her life right now. And, I can't deny her of that excitement. I'm happy that you ladies were, excited to have me on, and I'll do the both of us some justice for our podcast, hopefully.
Yeah.
Bring both of our energies here.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So today we are going into a deep dive into none other than the Lizzie Borden murders and explore a little bit of the haunted lore that follows this case as well.
Mhm.
So grab your best teacup and don't let the axe hit you on the way out.
I love that.
Oh, Sarah.
I have in brackets, oh my god.
I love when you come up with jokes
My lip-
related to the podcast or the theme of the episode.
I try my best, but I always get a little bit nervous because
I enjoyed that. It's so true. You never know who's behind you. God, anybody could be.
Nope, stay on toes.
So, like we said, we are so excited to have you on this episode, and thank you again for joining us. If you want to kind of introduce your podcast too and give yourself a little shout out.
For sure. So my name's Mandy, and I've got my co-host Avery, and we are the host of Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes. I know, what a name. I don't know how we came up with the name. We just joke about all kinds of things, and we had all these names flowing, and I just said it, and she was like, "That's it. That's what we're going with." Her boyfriend calls us a thirst trap, and I'm like, you know what? We've gotten some weird DMs, but we expected that, and it makes it so exciting. So our podcast is all Canadian true crime and anything paranormal that comes along with Canada. We are in Ontario, so right now we live in two separate small towns, but we now only live 5 minutes from each other in the same town, which I'm so excited about. So now we don't have to virtually record anymore. I can just drive to her house and sit with her and record. So I'm excited for that.
Nice.
But everything we cover is related to Canada. I find the Canadian market isn't as saturated in the podcast industry. We were just kind of, we don't want to focus on big serial killers in the US that have gotten way too much exposure. And if we wanted to talk about them, we would focus on the victims, but we thought that there is so much in Canada that has happened that we really need to give, these Canadian victims a voice. And the biggest focus for us when we started was the missing and murdered Indigenous women. And so a lot of the stories we do cover, we mainly focus on them and their story, because there's ones you've never even heard of, some that are big, still so many unsolved. And sometimes we kind of need to take a little break. So then we dabble into the paranormal and crazy haunting stuff of Canada, mainly because we've had our own crazy haunted experiences living in Canada, working in Canada. We have all these beautiful national parks that have a lot of crazy lore to them. There's a lot of museums, just places and things. And we were like, let's just put Canada out there and make sure we're focusing on that. And there's so much we've realized that we stumbled upon that we're like, how do we not know any? Even close to our own hometown that we're like, sweet Jesus. Like, where have we been? But so that's our podcast.
Exactly.
We take things seriously, really focusing on the victims, but things get heavy, and sometimes we throw in a little humor because we're Canadian, and Canadian humor is, I think Canadian humor is very European humor at the same time. So you just have to throw in a little bit of humor and kind of make it a little lighthearted. But we have a regular episode every week. It comes out every Wednesday. We have our Sunday Scaries, which is we just collab a bunch of little stories that we get from Reddit or the internet, or maybe our little own stories or whatever listeners sent us, and just kind of make it, because nobody likes a Monday, right? The Mondays are scary. So if you're Sunday night, you're like, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. We'll give us something scarier. So it's not so bad. So that's our podcast. Yeah, we've been doing it for
Yay.
probably about two and a bit years. It's long for us. We think it's crazy. So
yeah,
yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I love you too. It's so in sync.
Yeah, we spend too much time together.
We do this
I love
often.
Yeah, it's really cool the things we learn, and we just want to make sure everyone else knows about it. And we like learning a few things too. But if you do want to listen to us, want to check us out, we are. You can find us kind of anywhere you listen to your, your favorite podcasts. We only have Instagram as our social media. Yeah, so that's our podcast in a nutshell.
While we do cover Canadian cases, we also cover a lot in the States. And for some reason, a lot of our cases that we covered, we keep getting drawn back to Massachusetts.
That's like Canada.
That's just our first episode we ever did. Yeah.
Kind of like Canada.
It's it's close enough,
exactly.
Pretty similar.
So going back, we like to say to our Massachusetts roots, even though we don't actually have roots in Massachusetts, we just
You
talk
could have been a
about it
witch
a
one
lot.
day there. You never know. So you know what? Say it, girl.
Hey.
Go with it.
We've been in many places together.
So many past lives. That's why you guys are so in sync. Yes.
Yes. So being in Massachusetts, we also did cover, I think it was our 1 year episode, we covered the Bridgewater Triangle, which is in Massachusetts. So we talked a little bit about the town of Fall River and the little creepy, strange, mysterious things that are happening. And one of the things that we kind of teased a little while ago was a really, really infamous true crime case that happened there. And that is the case of the Lizzie Borden murders.
That's my favorite one to listen to when people talk about it. I love to hear everyone's different aspects and their own opinions of it. So I'm excited for this.
Yay. Okay. I'm just going to jump right into it because the details are crazy. You know about this case, right? You've heard of it before.
I think so.
But the details are kind of...
I love when you fill me in.
They're a little crazy.
I know a little bit and then Sarah gives me the whole bit and I'm like,
I love
it. Wow. It's not what I thought.
So there's a lot to get into, so I will just jump into it. Starting from the beginning, and I mean like the very beginning, on July 19th, 1860, in the small town of Fall River, Massachusetts, a baby girl was born to Andrew and Sarah Borden, and her name was Lizzie Borden.
Of course, it's Sarah also.
I know. Also, my conspiracy, there's so many Sarahs in like the Victorian era and all of these creepy cases, the true crime cases, and every time I'm like, oh my God.
You know what? But there's a lot of Sarahs out there. I got a lot of friends named Sarah. Like Avery and I, one of our really best friends is named Sarah. And so we're like, it's just, you know what? It's a common name. It just hasn't swayed at all.
It is.
Yep.
It's just one of those universal names. It's like in all of the languages.
It's Avery's mom's name too. Like we're like, man, there is so many. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They all knew each other back then. It must have.
Yeah. So Lizzie Borden was born in 1860. She was the youngest of three girls. So her sister, Emma Lenora, was 9 years older than her, and she also had an older sister named Alice Esther, who unfortunately passed away of hydrocephalus at 22 months old. But Lizzie was the youngest. She's the baby of the family.
It's common then, though. A lot of babies didn't make it. Like,
yes.
I know, like, on my mom's side of the family, there was a baby in the 50s that didn't make it. So many diseases and just random things that they didn't know about. I think they pinned them most to crib deaths, but I think it was a whole bunch of other medical issues. So that's so sad.
Oh, yeah. So Lizzie's father, Mr. Andrew Borden, was known to be a very wealthy man. He was involved in a lot of business and entrepreneurial things. He was like very invested in the town. He had a lot of properties. He had a lot of different businesses. But he was also known for living a very frugal life. So although he did have the means to live luxuriously, he was very basic in his living style. And this would also be reflected in the way that they lived as a family and the way that the girls grew up. They noted that in their first home that they lived in, they didn't even have indoor plumbing, which even in the 1860s, 1870s was a common thing for wealthier families to have, but they didn't. Their father opted for a house without that.
I love that. It's like, you're going to learn that you don't need it. You're going to be humble. You know what? That's a classic dad thing, though. I feel that. Like, you don't need this luxury.
You don't need it.
Exactly.
So Andrew Borden married his wife, Sarah Anthony Morse, in 1845, and from what I could find, they really did love each other, so their marriage was that of love. It wasn't really of convenience or anything like that. That's an important point. I added that for a reason. Sadly, Sarah Borden passed away in 1863, and Lizzie was only 2 years old at the time. So all of this to say she didn't really have any true memories of her mother. She just knew.
I had a mother.
Now, considering the age difference between Lizzie and her elder sister Emma, they were 9 years apart. A lot of people said that Emma kind of took on a maternal role for Lizzie and almost like a surrogate wife and mother in the household
I
in
see
some
that.
ways because she was so much
Yeah,
older.
I get that.
Mhm.
It happens. Like my kids
Yeah.
are 7 years apart, and my oldest will just like discipline my youngest. I'm like, leave them. You don't need to worry
Yeah.
about it. You gotta like stop being so fatherly. Like leave the damn kid alone.
Yeah. That's what my aunt would always say about my mom. She's like, I grew up with two mothers
Yes.
because they've got a big age difference. So Andrew Borden married again after only 3 years following Sarah's death, and he married a woman named Abby Durfee Gray. Most accounts say that their marriage was more so of convenience and particularly opportunistic on Abby's part because Mr. Borden was so wealthy and he was known to be wealthy.
Gold diggers. God.
So now Lizzie was dealing with two conflicting maternal figures in the home, her new stepmother and her older sister. And growing up, there wasn't anything that particularly stood out about Lizzie Borden. By all accounts, she was like a totally average girl. She wasn't overly outgoing. She wasn't terribly shy. Like there was nothing. She wasn't any
So no red
extreme.
flags of
she
like
was
maybe
just
she's a troubled child, that type of stuff.
normal, as they would say, in terms of in terms of her disposition and her personality. She was known to be very active in their local community church along with her sister, and they would volunteer a lot, and they also taught Sunday school. The only thing that really stood out about her, and this wasn't in her childhood, it was in her later years of life, like in her teens into 20s, she had a little bit of a reputation for being a kleptomaniac. So she would
That's funny.
steal some things from local shops. But this was also, I only found it in a couple places, so I don't know how well known or like we don't know how serious this was, if it happened once or if it happened a bunch of times.
Repeating.
Yeah. But that was the only thing that I could find. The bad thing that people were like, she had sticky fingers. What can I say?
I would blame her dad. Her dad's very frugal and was like, we have less money, but you can't have it. You think she's like, yeah, well, I'm going to find a way to get it, you know? And a rebellious kids. I mean, I'm sure it was a rebellious action for her, but she's getting this new stepmom, you know, and her sister and all these conflicting things. And as teenagers, like just any kid, it doesn't matter what age you are. Kids are always testing the waters and testing boundaries. And I know that based on the two kids I have. And one's a little more testier than the other, but it happens, you know? They don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't know how to tell you what they're feeling. So they just act out. It's normal.
Yeah,
exactly. And considering their familial situation, there was a lot of pressure from around. So that brings us into family matters. In the beginning, the family dynamic wasn't terribly out of the ordinary. I mean, in the sense that it was as normal as it could be, having a new stepmother, also dealing with her older sister, being kind of that maternal figure to her, also the money, the financial aspect as well. It was said that both of the girls had a little bit of a hard time adjusting to the presence of a new mother in the home, which is understandable, of course. And particularly Emma, as she was the oldest. Also, seeing as she sort of played that role previously, she stepped in as the mother, the wife, the caretaker of the home for a little while. Even though she was still a child, she
stepped up.
Yeah. And a lot of reports did say that they didn't really get along too well. It was nothing serious, but
Emma and Lizzie?
yeah, that they didn't really treat their stepmother that wonderfully, but they were children.
And how was she though? Like, you know, how well did she treat her?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it's bad, but like, you know, all these Disney cartoons are always depicting stepmoms as evil. And over time, I think that's kind of also been a thing where it's like, why are you here? Why are you stepping in? Like you said, she wasn't giving off the greatest vibes of why her intentions, if her intentions were good to marry him and be part of the family. So I completely understand where it comes from. And I was a stepmom at one point. So it's like, it doesn't matter how you come in and how you approach it. I don't think that society just looks at you a lot different. And then it kind of gets passes down to the kids. And they're kind of like, you know, they don't give greatest, you know, warmest welcoming, I can say, to some people who come in. And it's hard too when they're at certain ages, it changes. But yeah. And I think that's always been a thing. And I think fairy tales have always kind of looked at it that way. So it sucks because, you know, there are a lot of great step parents out there who actually care and want to help out, but they've always kind of had a bad name. And when you go in, they're like, it's like that fairy tale I listened to. She's probably evil. She'll lock me in a closet. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. This was also one of the things that people would say. Some said that she was like a stereotypical evil stepmother. Some said that Abby, the stepmother, was kind and tried to be like as caring to the girls as she could be. But whenever there's a shift in dynamic of the family, especially in like a case like that where their mother passed away, they were obviously feeling some feelings about that.
Yeah.
However, Lizzie, because she was so young, she was around 5 or 6 when Abby came along, she was starting to kind of warm up to her a little bit more than Emma was. And this kind of solidified when Emma went away for a year and a half to the Wheaton Seminary School. So she left Lizzie at home with Abby, and she was starting to warm up to her and consider her to be an actual mother figure to her. They said that Lizzie would write letters to Emma and often referred to Abby as mother, which Emma really didn't like. Even in her letters, she was kind of like, I don't, that's not what, like, who are you talking about? So she was pointedly, she didn't consider Abby to be their mother. Emma actually never completed her studies at school. It wasn't clear on what the reason was, but she returned home after only a year and a half. Now, there's a little bit of conflicting information. I mean, there's a lot of conflicting information in this case, as per a lot of Victorian cases, because it happened so long ago. When it comes to the stepmother, Abby, like I said, a lot of people said she was kind of this stereotypical evil stepmother coming in. She was like a little bit of a gold digger, maybe in it for the wrong reasons. While others say that she was pretty normal and she cared for the girls as if they were her own children. Now, despite this, it was fairly well known, even at the time within the community, that the girls didn't particularly like her. That's all I could find. Nothing significant, though. No like huge conflict or situation. No. It's kind of the typical, I would say, like a blended family circumstance, especially at that time.
Blended families are hard.
They were just going through it.
Yep.
Yes. Now, the only other significant person in the home, I have to mention this because she did live with them for an extended period of time, was the longtime housemaid Bridget Sullivan, who was an Irish immigrant that had been with the family starting in 1889. I did see in one report that she said she would often take Lizzie's part in family disputes. So I guess she would take Lizzie's side when things were happening, and they kind of considered each other friends because they were close in age at the time, like in their early teen years. So yeah, they considered each other to be friends, even though she was technically a servant for them, but she's a significant player in this situation. In general, the later years of their lives, both Lizzie and Emma were experiencing some tensions within the home. They were not very accepting of their stepmother. Both of them were unmarried, and at that time, that was not seen as a very good thing the older you got.
Yeah,
if
you're
you were
basically
unmarried.
like, you're one of those like old curmudgeony cat ladies who's like, ugh, no man will ever want you. You're too old. Like, this is why
Exactly.
this is so bad for society now, okay? They think that you should always marry a young woman because you think she's in her prime and she's so healthy. You know what? Get better as age. You're like a good wine, okay? That's how it should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Snaps, girl, snaps.
Exactly. So both girls, even Emma, who was significantly older than Lizzie, they were both unmarried. They were both heavily relying on their father financially. They were still living at home. They also weren't living the luxurious lifestyle that they wanted to. And that was something that was clear in a lot of the articles that I read, that the two sisters wanted to be a part of the elite society. They wanted to be in the wealthier circles. And to some extent they were, but because of their father's kind of reputation for being frugal and being a little bit cheap, they were kind of embarrassed by this because they just wanted to be living like the rest of them.
Yeah, and they probably weren't
So this was another
classed
point
in there because they're like,
mention.
well, we can't see that you have this type of money, and he's probably
Yes.
not associated with like those groups or okay, cat across the screen. Hold on. Oh my goodness. He's probably not associated with those groups that they want them to be a part of. So at that point, it's like, is he have this type of money? Should he be in our social circle? So I get that.
Yeah. So also at this point in history, that's a lot of pressure on young women, especially of a certain class too, to be doing certain things in your life, accomplishing certain things by certain points, and all of that from living in your family home with your dad, who you're annoyed with all the time, and your stepmom, who you don't particularly like.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of things kind of boiling over.
A lot of tensions
Yes.
in every aspect.
So, like I said, they were kind of embarrassed by their father's cheapness and his reputation, because he had the means to have the nicest things and for them to have the nice carriage and for them to have the nice dresses, but he always chose the most basic functional items for them, even their house. They lived in a very affluent neighborhood, but their house was one of the most like simple, straightforward. They didn't have a ton of plumbing even in this house that they would move into. So he just wanted the basics, and they were like, that's not going to work for us.
Especially
We need some.
if
We
they're,
need some
those
more.
young girls and they're like, we don't want to have the name of being like, no suitor wants us. So it's like, we need to have the pretty
Yes.
dresses. We have to have the stature. If not, we're not going to get the life that we want to have when we move out. Even though their family has money, they
Yeah.
want to be married into a family with money to keep that status. Right. I mean, you don't want to marry a man who doesn't have any money, knowing like
Exactly.
you're going to inherit a lot of money one day. Like, I'm not caring for your butt. Like, what's happening? Like, take care of
Yeah.
yourself, man. You take care
Yeah.
of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I'm gonna include this part just because some people allude to it being relevant, and I will get into it more as the story goes on. But the only like real point of contention or conflict that is recorded throughout this is one time the father Andrew killed a bunch of pigeons in the family barn, and this really upset Lizzie because she was very fond of the pigeons. Everybody thinks that this is like the most significant, like they had this beef, they hated each
Okay.
other, like there was like, see, he did this to her, she was so upset. This is supposed to be some sort of like
Like blame.
inciting incident, which it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal, but it will come up again. It's involved
Okay.
somehow, just not really in the way that we
Right.
think it is. But I had to include it anyways. Now, as Lizzie was getting older, the pressure around her finances began to grow, and around 1887, Andrew Borden was beginning to give away some of his many properties to family members. He even bought a home, a new home, and gave it to Abby. And this reportedly was very upsetting for Lizzie and her sister Emma. However, he did gift the first family home to the sisters, so he gave them
The one without the bathroom.
the one without the plumbing.
I mean, I'd be pissed too. I'd be
Yeah.
like, yo, why does this woman get the good stuff? Like, she don't need a new home.
Yeah.
She's living with you. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
She gets
Exactly.
this. She came in later. Like, mm-mm.
Uh-huh.
So they lived on, sometimes it's referred to the Ferry Street property. That was their childhood home before they moved into the current home where they were living with Abby and their dad, where the crimes were taking place. And it's also the house that is like standing today, which is on 2nd Street. That was their second family
Okay.
home. Second, we get.
Perfect.
Okay. Drawn a little picture. So now it's the late 1880s into the early 1890s. And this was the time when Lizzie sort of began to pull away from the family dynamic and distance herself. Even in public, she wasn't wanting to be seen or associated with any of them. And a lot of people attributed this to her basically desire to live a better life than they were living. And she believed like we have the means to have
it.
the finer things in life and we don't, and it was upsetting her.
Yeah.
Now, in 1891, the Borden house was actually broken into in broad daylight, and there was a lot of jewelry and money that had been stolen from the master bedroom. Andrew himself alleged that he suspected it was Lizzie who had stolen the
Okay.
things. So this kind of contributed to her
Klepto.
sticky finger allegations.
I mean, it's still
As
kind of
well.
rude. Just like assume it's your daughter. Like how much do you think
Yeah.
she hates you?
Yeah.
Right?
But they said that apparently after this situation happened, he started locking the master bedroom door at all times. So she wasn't allowed access into basically that half of the house.
That is
Kind of
weird.
weird. In May of the same year, the Borden's barn was also broken into twice on two separate occasions. And the barn was where Lizzie had built a little roost or a perch for some stray pigeons. This is where the
Those
pigeons come up
pigeons.
again. The pigeon fiasco. So Andrew assumed that it was actually neighborhood boys that were messing with the barn and trying to
Yeah.
get after the pigeons and stuff. For whatever reason, he thought it would be a good idea to just get rid of the pigeons, so he killed them
You know
because
there's
of
going to be more
that.
pigeons, right? Pigeons are just going to fly wherever they want to fly. Like, I
It
don't.
doesn't really make sense,
All right.
but he had personal beef with the pigeons
What they do to
apparently,
you,
so
man? God, who hurt you? It's funny. Who hurt you, man?
yeah.
Seriously.
He's just scared of birds. Like,
Maybe it's a thing. You never know.
so, of course, Lizzie didn't like this. She built the home for the stray pigeons. She was looking after them, and then he was like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Gotta go.
gotta
It's
go.
a dad thing, though. Clueless with
Oh
girls.
my gosh,
They
for
don't
sure.
understand. Oh my God. No.
Yes.
They don't get it.
They're trying to build character. I don't know. Now, the next sequence of events happens about 2 to 3 weeks before August 4th, and August 4th is going to be a significant date for the case, okay? Buckle up. Very suddenly, out of the blue, remember how I said that Lizzie and her sister kind of inherited their childhood home, which didn't have plumbing?
Yep.
Suddenly, they wanted to sell it back to their father, and they sold it to him for $5,000 at the time, which in today's monies,
Dollars.
it was almost $180,000.
That's
So
still really.
that's
I
like
want a house
quite
for
significant-
$180,000. Jay, you can't get that
Yeah,
here.
girl, I'll take that.
What?
I'll take that.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
okay.
worry.
You know what? I'll build myself a porta potty. I don't. Yeah.
I'll
Right?
take it.
I'll figure
Where's
it
the?
out.
Where do I
Don't you
sign?
worry.
So some people said that they didn't appreciate the lack of plumbing, and that was the main reason. There was only one singular flushing toilet in the home.
Oh no.
And one sink, I think, and it was like in the basement or something. It was just not, especially for two girls that
women
they
like
were-
we as women we know how
Yes.
important it is, like how we once a month we need that
Yes.
bathroom. We're like spending a lot of time in that bathroom. Okay,
Yes.
you got to be clean.
Exactly.
You want to be got your hair done. Like you just
Mhm.
as women we need it. It's a lot different than men. Men can pee wherever the hell they want to pee. You know,
Yeah,
different for us.
they're good with a puddle
Yeah,
outside.
like
It's
we,
okay.
it's not as easy for us. Okay, yeah,
No.
let us have this one luxury.
And then especially for two women in the higher
Yep.
class society, this was like,
Uh-uh.
what are we
Exactly.
doing? We
This is-
can't.
I don't know.
How are we gonna get anywhere in this
How are we gonna
wealthy
find a
circle?
husband
Yeah.
like
You
this?
can't find a husband if you only have one toilet.
No,
It's not
you
gonna
will
work.
not.
Then, reportedly, a family argument took place in July of 1892, and this prompted both of the sisters to take an extended vacation to New Bedford. It's not specified what this argument was about, but some people allege or allude to that it probably had to do with money. This was kind of their main quarrel. Now, while in New Bedford, Lizzie bought some fabrics and some things to make a dress, because back then they would make their own dresses, or they would send fabric and things to a seamstress and have them made for her. So this, for some reason, is a point that they kept bringing up as significant. So she bought the things to make a dress. Just putting that out there. There was also a report that around the same time, the Bordens had hired somebody to paint the exterior of their home. These little like tidbits will become clear a little bit later on, but
Easter eggs.
they're little Easter eggs, I guess. Now, once Lizzie returned home to Falls River, Emma didn't come with her. She actually went to a different town to visit friends, so she was out of town for a little while longer. And it was said that for about a week after Lizzie returned home, the entire household was sick, vomiting, pooping, not feeling good, being in bed all day.
They got
The
that
whole
lettuce.
household.
That's what happened.
Hey, they did. And you know what? They probably did.
Special lettuce just for them.
A lot of people said that it was probably food
Mhm.
poisoning from the soup or stew that they had been eating. There was some speculation from the stepmother, Abby, that maybe somebody tried to poison them, which is kind of a far place to jump to right
a
off the
stepmom.
bat, that you've
She
been
just
poisoned.
validated all these fairy tales, okay? God, you're giving us all a bad
And then
name,
they
girl.
tried to poison
Yeah,
me.
this is why they don't like you, okay? I hate to tell
Yeah.
you, you brought this on yourself, girl. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
She thought that it maybe had to do with Andrew not having a very good reputation in the town, so she kind of felt like maybe somebody was out to get them, and this was the way that they were doing it. But I did read, there was some accounts saying that the way that the families would eat was that they would have like a big, huge pot of stew or soup, and it would last like
Yeah.
5 days. So someone said more than likely it was that
It
something
was
was
the
wrong with
meat,
the food and they
probably.
just
Yeah.
kept eating
Meat
it.
only lasts so
Yes.
long.
Over
And it's
a
like a week of the same meat.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'd all be in the
Yes.
same boat. Like,
Just-
there is no way.
Yeah,
Oof.
exactly.
Like, where are they storing it?
They
Just
use
left
them.
on the stove for 5 days.
No.
Yeah.
And if they don't have the proper meats, I mean, even if right now we're putting this meat, we cook it. Like, if you're making beef, I'm only going to eat it for 3 days after. Okay. That's it. Chicken,
Yeah.
definitely don't want to eat more than that. But still, I don't think they like knew these things.
No, I don't.
And then you've got the air exposure. You're
No.
cooling it, reheating it, cooling it, reheating. Plus, when
Yes.
you said it was the summer, okay? How hot is it getting those houses? So, like, there's bacteria growing in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh,
Nasty.
ooh, no thanks.
By the end of the week, everybody's still sick, by the way. And their uncle, John Morse, so they're Lizzie and Emma's maternal
Okay.
uncle, their mom's brother, came to visit them. A horrible time to visit, but nonetheless, he was there.
In town.
He was in town, and him and Andrew were discussing some business matters. Some think that they really discussed the changing of property ownerships because it seemed like all of a sudden Andrew was delving out all of these properties that he had. And it was known that him and John had some business dealings together. So some people speculate he was unhappy with what was going on, maybe thinking that he was dividing them a little bit unfairly. It's not, obviously nobody was there, so we can't say for certain.
Well, if he
but
was,
they were
yeah,
talking
like if
about
he
business.
was the brother of his original wife, so those are his nieces, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, these are my sister's kids. I want them to have what they deserve. My sister would have wanted this for them, and now I see you handing out all this stuff that my nieces are supposed to be inheriting. Maybe he was entitled to something, or I think I heard that he wasn't he like supposed to be the one that if like they passed away, he was supposed to take care of them? Wasn't he the beneficiary or something? I think that's what I heard, but I mean, that would make sense to be like, I'm supposed to be in charge of these girls.
Yeah.
He probably promised his sister, if anything ever happened to her, this is what's going to happen. I mean, you know, as someone who has a sister, me and my sister the same way. Like, if anything happens, my sister's my kids' beneficiaries and like she takes care of them. So I understand. And he's probably got money, you know, it's at stake at the same time. So
yeah.
it's also interesting.
The interwovenness of
affairs.
Yes. Now on August 3rd, everybody in the house is still puking. It's still in bed, still not doing well.
They're down bad. That's what's going down.
They were. Andrew Borden allegedly tells one of his associates in town that there's trouble in the Borden house, potentially referring to the sickness that's going on, but a lot of people were like, that's kind of a suspicious thing to say, like something's brewing in the house.
But they said weird things back then. Like they had like weird talk.
They
would have this weird language. Like I see these memes all the time where it's like, can we just talk like we're in the 1800s? And I'm like, strangest things that people would say. So they have some trouble on the way, you know? So that, I mean, that makes sense. They're in trouble. I get it. That is the trouble. You all shitting. I mean, there's a lot of buckets in that house. Somebody's got to clean. Ooh, no, thank you.
Oh yeah,
that poor maid.
By this point, Abby had gone over to the doctor's house, and there was a doctor who lived right across the street. He was a Dr. Bowen, and she tells him that she thinks they were poisoned. So he comes on over to the house, and he checks on them, and he concludes ultimately it was something that they ate. He's like, "You're gonna be fine, but it's food poisoning. You're
that stew
gonna
out.
be good.
Don't eat
worry."
it.
This is another speculated eyewitness report that allegedly later in that same day on August 3rd that Lizzie was spotted in town trying to buy some prussic acid, and I had to look that up, but it's basically cyanide she was buying. And this was kind of a note in my head that I have. I don't know, they were doing a lot of weird stuff back then.
Yeah, they were.
Like today we have no use for that, so it would look suspicious, but I don't know, back then maybe she needed it to clean something.
Maybe there was rats.
Who knows?
Maybe
what they were
was trying to clean out the barn. I mean, they would give people coke to make them like, oh, you're sick? Let me give you some cocaine. That'll make you feel better. So who knows what they were using it for? So some people said that's so suspicious, but also it could have just been another day. Like, we don't know. But have to include everything. Gotta get all the facts.
Now, that evening, Lizzie goes across the street to her friend Alice's house, and she allegedly told Alice that she feels like something bad is going to happen.
Okay.
So that was another thing that people were like, that's so strange and suspicious and weird, because why is everybody in the house saying like there's trouble, something's gonna happen? Like, I don't know. Everybody was kind of on edge.
It's very ominous.
But again, they were still at the tail end of their week-long sickness, so it could have been
Trouble in the house.
alluding to that as well. Like something bad's gonna happen. Like we only have one bath.
Maybe that's why she was there. She's like, girl, I need your bathroom. Like, I can't
Girl,
anymore.
yeah.
So wait, Lizzie was sick too. So the entire family was. Okay, that's a good note
Yes.
though. It's a very good note.
Including Bridget Sullivan, the
Because she would have
maid.
been eating the food too.
And I'm
Mhm.
Yes. The only person I'm not 100% sure, I couldn't really find if if Uncle John was, if he came in and he also was eating the stew at the end, but he kind of came in at the end
He
of the
probably had
week,
his own
so
food.
he
Mhm.
might have been okay. Now we're going to get into the house itself, because as per most of our cases, the location and the setting is a character in of itself. And I had to include this small section because we love talking about houses as well. And we're talking about the Borden House. It's the iconic structure that people will know. A lot of people know. Even if they don't know the story, they know of the Borden House. For anybody who cares about architecture,
I
we
love
do,
it.
but
Yeah.
this will also help to kind of paint a little picture of the setup of everything. So when we walk through the actual case and the scene, what was going on in what areas and how it was set up is good to know. I'll let you take it away.
It's a mid-19th century Greek revival style wood frame structure with a rectangular layout, a pitched roof, and a plain exterior cladding, which was painted a deep classic green.
Yes.
That was the painter at the house.
And also another note about that, the color of the paint is still the color it is today.
Right.
So they kept it true to its historic accuracy.
So the green was what it was painted. So when you said there was the painter at the house, that was the color it turned into. So it was a different color before that.
Yes, I think it could have just been
a refresh,
plain wood.
Maybe
it could have been a refresh. They didn't really specify. I just know what it looks like now when they said it was the same color as they were painting it, and also the green color is significant. It'll come into play later.
Easter egg. Okay, so the house itself is pretty large, though it is described as a quote-unquote modest. It does not have any additions or decorative add-ons. It is a simple rectangular structure, which it was simple in comparison to some of the other neighborhood homes. So now stepping into the interior of the house. The house is 3 levels. It includes a basement, main floor, a second floor, and an attic. This is a pretty classical constructed house for the time. It was sometimes referred to as a chamber-style house. There were no hallways anywhere in the house, so you had to move through each room in order to get from one end to the other. The only quote-unquote hallway was the landing on the second floor before the bedrooms.
So that's an important point to note, is that the house, it's just rooms like this, kind of in a grid style. So there's no long hallways, everything is close to each other.
Yeah, like to get to the kitchen, you have to go through the study to the dining room into the...
And the reason that they call the house modest, it's not very modest, in my opinion. It's really, even by today's standards, it's a pretty nice house. Falls River at this time, I did read that it was kind of an affluent town in general at that time. Like, it was one of the wealthier towns in that area. So specifically, especially in this neighborhood, a lot of the houses were much more grand. They had a lot of add-ons. They were a lot more decorative, while the Borden house was pretty simple, clean cut. They just had the basics, which reflected, again, Andrew Borden, his sort of lifestyle, the frugality of it all. Walking through the layout very briefly, when you enter the home, you go right into the foyer of the house. So like I said, there's rooms everywhere. There's no hallways. So you walk straight into a room, and it's where the stairs are. It's where the doors to all of the other rooms are. To the left of the foyer is the living room / parlor room. Straight ahead is the door to the formal sitting room. So at that time, they had a lot more formal spaces. They would separate the formal versus family spaces. And then to the right of of this was the main stairs that would go up to the second floor. Like I said, it's kind of set up in a grid layout. So the dining room is right behind where the living room is, and the kitchen is right behind where the sitting room is.
Okay, yeah. And then the top stairs. So I see. That's crazy that you have to go through like every single bedroom to get through.
Yeah, from one end of the house to the
That's
other.
crazy.
And then at the very back, they have, it's kind of like the maid's quarter area where they have the sink and the pantry and then the secondary staircase as well. And then going up to the second level on the main stairs, there's the small landing, which is basically just the hallway that will lead you into all of the bedrooms. And to the left, there was a large closet. Straight ahead was the guest room. That's important to note. It's right across from the stairs. And then a little bit to the right was Lizzie's room. And then you had to walk through Lizzie's room to get to the rest of the rooms upstairs. So inside of her room to the left was Emma's room, which was a little bit smaller. And then continuing forward was the master bedroom. And then that had a larger closet. There was a bathroom there. And then the secondary stairs actually went to that section of the house.
Okay, yeah.
And then those same stairs went all the way up to the attic, and the main stairs didn't. So it was only the, I guess they would say servant entrance stairs went all the way up to the attic. And the attic had, at that point, it's kind of conflicting information also for the floor plan, because the way that the house is set up now in today's time, they renovated it to be a bed and breakfast. So it's not exactly the setup layout of
yeah, you
what
can't
it was
be like,
back
hey, we're gonna
then.
rent you a room, but you have to go through this person's room. You don't know them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, don't interrupt during a special time. Just knock first. Yeah,
Just knock first.
No, just close your eyes and just go.
Yeah, put some headphones on. I think it'll be fine. It's all good.
So the attic room was where Bridget Sullivan was staying in, because it was kind of like a secondary living area, or for guests if they needed it. So I want you guys to keep in mind this general layout as we walk through this. And now we have to go into the actual day of the crime. So this is what happened on August 4th. This is a little bit crazy, and I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I got timestamps for most of the things that happened. Okay, so the morning of August 4th, 1892, started like any other morning, any other day. The family got up, they had breakfast, and they went about their day. Everybody was feeling better by this point. Most of the people were over their food sickness from the stew. Yeah.
That's good.
Their Uncle John was still over, so he joined them for breakfast before he left the house around 8:48 in the morning. And then Andrew Borden... Oh yeah. I said I got timestamps.
Damn.
And then Andrew Borden leaves the house soon afterwards at 9 a.m. to go run some errands. Now, Lizzie had given him some letters for him to drop at the post office, so at this point she was also awake. Around 9:30, Abby, the stepmother, goes upstairs to clean the guest room, which Uncle John had been staying in. And Lizzie apparently stayed downstairs in the dining room to do her own chores, or start on her chores for the day. Around this same time, Bridget, the maid, was working down the street at the Kelly house for a little over an hour.
She was working at another house?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was
This
busy
man's
in town.
frugal. He's probably not paying her much. And I mean, if they all have chores in this house, it's like, I don't need to pay you anymore. I'll make my daughters do a bunch of work.
Exactly.
I see that. I get that. You're gonna earn your keep. That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. Period.
So she was working down the street, but she was frequently seen going back and forth between the Kelly house and the Borden house because she was getting water from the Borden's water pump. For whatever reason, I can't remember if they said that the other house didn't have water or something was happening, but she was going back and forth for the early morning that day. And neighbors specifically report this because they said she was at like a reasonable distance from the home at this point. At the same time, Andrew Borden is in town and he's getting a little shave. He's talking to some tenants. Remember, he has a lot of properties. He's doing a little business.
He's running around.
He's booked and busy. He's doing a lot.
Filling his agenda.
Around 10:30 a.m., a neighbor, Mr. Chase, noticed a peculiar carriage that was parked outside of the Borden house for about half an hour. And actually, several neighbors attest to this and say that they also saw a suspicious man loitering around. I did need to include this because it it may or may not be relevant, but also they kind of can't really confirm if this is true or if it really was like a suspicious looking man. Also, some of these reports are happening after the fact, so hindsight bias is also a thing.
And maybe, I don't know if it has to do with the uncle. Like, were they used to the uncle coming to visit? Were neighbors used to seeing him around what he came in on?
Yeah, maybe not.
Or somebody was there visiting for the uncle or something
Maybe.
like that.
It's also unclear if it was a man who was like literally around the house or he was just in the area, or if the carriage was right outside the house or just on the street. Like, but we're taking it with a grain of salt. Then at around 10:45, Andrew returns home and Lizzie tells him that Abby had told her she went out to go and visit a sick friend down the street. She tells him to go and rest on the couch before she went into the dining room to speak with Bridget, who had also returned home. So now everybody's back at the house, except for Abby. Bridget was still not really feeling well.
Poor girl.
She still had that stew.
She ate the most of it.
So she went upstairs to the attic where her room was to lay down for a while, and she notes that she heard the town clock chime at 11 a.m. while she was laying down. So that is like the one like very, very, very solid timestamp, because she was like, I'm laying down and I know what time it is right now. This is important. Lizzie then went out to the family barn on the property to look for some iron to make fishing sinkers. I don't know what that is, but
I know exactly.
They're like little lead balls that you put on your line, so it helps keep your lure closer to the bottom of the surface. My son's a fisherman, and if you don't have it, like your lure isn't heavy enough, it's basically just sitting on the top of the surface, and you're not going to get the fish you want. So you basically have to put your we call it a weight now, and it's a little lead ball. It goes on, has a little slit in it. You can like manipulate it, and then you put as many as you need for how far you want it to sit at the bottom after you cast. So that makes sense.
I see. So she was doing arts and crafts. I don't know. She was busy.
She was a daughter of a man who probably wanted sons, so she knows what to do.
Yeah.
That's me. I get it.
I feel
Same girl. Yeah.
I feel it.
So while Lizzie was in the yard, she also stopped to eat a pear from one of the trees in their backyard.
Nice.
This is also in the notes of witnesses. A local ice cream peddler noted that he saw a woman in the Borden's yard around 11 a.m. So people think, okay, he witnessed Lizzie. She was in the yard at 11.
Eating a pear.
Now, something occurs sometime between when Lizzie went out into the yard until about 11:10. So it's kind of between 10 to 20 minutes is the time frame in which something occurred. And the something that occurs is Lizzie goes back inside and she finds her father had been hacked to death on the family sofa.
Oh.
So this is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, oh.
Finished
a pear.
Pear was great.
Come back in.
She's noted yelling for Bridget to come quick, father is dead, someone killed him. So not just saying that he's dead, something happened, but notably saying somebody killed him.
Well, he didn't axe himself, so that makes sense. Yes. I mean, I'd say that too.
She then sends Bridget across the street to get Mr. Bowen, but he's not home, so she returns back to the house, and then she's sent out again to go and get Alice Russell, who's Lizzie's friend, Alice, that she had been over to her house the night before. Around this time, a local neighbor, Mrs. Churchill, sees Lizzie at the side door of the house looking kind of dazed and confused. So she goes over to her like, what's going on? Are you okay? What happened? And she helps Lizzie into the kitchen and settles her down in a chair, and she's trying to talk to her. And Lizzie is like, this is what happened. Go check the parlor. Something just went down. I don't know what's going on.
You've seen it, I mean, with an axe.
Have you seen it? But she described that Lizzie was like in a state of shock, which of course anybody would be.
Yeah.
So she wasn't giving a lot of information, but Mrs. Churchill deduced obviously something horrible had happened. So she went out to the local stables and asked the men there to call the police. I don't know if this is an indicator of maybe they didn't have a phone in the house.
Well, they had one washroom. You know what? I'm not surprised.
So I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the police are called at 11:15.
That's a short period of a window.
That's kind of like our time frame is 11 to 11:15, which is very interesting. And then I also wrote like this is quite a lot of things happening between 8:30 in the morning to 11 in the morning, going to town, like so many people. They're doing so many things.
I'm still sleeping by that time. Like I don't know. Like, I gotta go to work. I'm sleeping.
Then at about 11:20, Dr. Bowen and his wife, Mrs. Bowen, Alice Russell, and Bridget all arrive back at the Borden house. So it's a full house at this point.
It's only 20 minutes later,
That's
too.
insane.
Yeah. Everybody's just around.
They're reacting. I love it.
Oh, nowadays, oh my
No.
God, it's brutal. It's like, what do you mean? Who? You need someone to come over? You're sitting there for 5 minutes just to wait for like 911 to answer you. Like,
Yeah. Or they hang up, or they have to call you back. So Dr. Bowen comes in and he examines Andrew Borden and says, yes, he's dead. Okay, thank you for that. We needed you to tell us. He then goes to the telegraph office to contact Emma, because remember, she's out of town. She's visiting a friend. And unfortunately, he has to let her know that her father is dead. At 11:25, Officer George Allen arrives, and he's the first officer on scene. He inspects the first floor of the house, but nowhere else. He doesn't look anywhere else in the house. He just is on the main level. I have no idea.
sounds about right, you know? Classic cops, yeah. You know.
We'll just do half of it. It's fine.
So he takes a quick 1-2 look around, and then he goes out to get more officers. So at this point, they kind of were like, we don't know the gravity of the situation. Let's just check it out. And then he's like, okay, actually,
whoa.
I think it's raining.
I'm like, is anyone breaking in? I hope not. Oh my God.
Not this window. One.
Then at around 11:30, so it's like 5 minutes later, Mrs. Churchill wonders aloud, where is Abby? Nobody has talked to her. Nobody's seen her for a while. And Lizzie is like, I thought I heard her come in a little bit earlier, but I didn't see her. And she says she doesn't want to go and look for her by herself. So Mrs. Churchill's like, okay, I'll come with you. Like, let's go check. Is she upstairs? Is she sleeping? Like, maybe she still doesn't feel good. Like, maybe she's taking a nap. We don't know.
So Lizzie's like, I don't really give two shits about her. So, like, you know.
Yeah. No, like, quite literally, she's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't hear from her all day, and I didn't bother to ask where
Not
she
my
was at.
business. Yeah.
They said that the second that they walked up to the second level and became eye level with the floor, they could see Abby laying in the guest room beside the bed. So at this point, they're like, okay, something happened to her as well.
The other side of the bed, how did they see them from the landing?
Under the bed. Because the door is open.
Yeah, I was trying to play that in my head too. I'm like, wait a minute.
Also back then, like the way that they had the beds, they had space under them. Like there
was a height. Yeah.
They didn't have boxes. They always were on like higher legs, right? So, and I guess from this vantage point, if you see like coming right up the stairs, like as soon as you get to here, you see through, and they just saw her laying on the ground. Yeah. But they were like, okay, yeah, something definitely happened.
That was enough.
Now, between 11:35 and 11:45, a bunch of officers begin arriving to the scene. And around 11:45, the medical examiner, this is also kind of an interesting point, but the medical examiner from Bristol County, Dr. William Dolan, he just happens to be passing by the Borden house. I don't know if he lived in the area. I don't know what he was doing, but he happened to be passing by the Borden's house. And he was kind of intrigued because a bunch of people were outside. It seemed like there was some commotion going on. So he wanted to poke his nose in what was going on.
Know what's happening in the community. I mean, small town, you got to know everything, right?
Oh, 100%.
Exactly. So he stops by and he's immediately allowed in. So they usher him in and they're like, we need your help. Something just happened. And he's allowed to actually examine the bodies as well. He soon determines that Abby had died first, maybe 2 hours before Andrew had, and he said that this was based on blood coagulation. So he explained that Abby's blood was, quote, tacky, while Andrew's blood was still flowing, and that while Andrew was slightly warm, Abby was noticeably cooler. So even by that standard, he could tell that they didn't die at the same time, and that Andrew was fairly recently. So again, within that like random kind of 15-minute period, something happened to him. Shortly after this, a police photographer arrives to document the crime scene and the bodies, and then they move the deceased onto the dining table.
Classic. During that time.
Classic. For fun. I don't know.
We'll just put them here right now.
Just to kind of get them out of the way, I guess. I don't know.
We have other things to do at the moment.
Yeah. Then at around 12 p.m., Uncle John returns to the house. Remember, he's staying with them. He happens upon the scene.
Happens upon the scene.
And-
I see. Or was he 2 hours ago? Sorry.
He was apparently seen eating a pear from the tree. Also,
Him too?
going inside, yes. Which is kind of a weird coincidence. I don't know if that really means
They
anything,
love their pears.
I think
Maybe that's it.
or they were the only house that had a pear tree on the street, so everyone was
Yeah.
like, "Hey."
Oh, come on.
Now, over the next couple of hours, from between 12 to 3 p.m., an influx of people from the town and the neighborhood show up.
Are they going through the house there?
Oh, yes, they're going through the house.
You know,
And I would
why do people
say-
do that during that time? Everything, like it's like the
love
Velisca
it.
Ass Murder House too. Everyone was like, "Yo, come on
Yes.
in. It's a sideshow. Check it all out. Take stuff that you want. Take body parts. You know,
Yes.
contaminate the scene."
Have
So
at it.
strange.
Yeah.
So strange.
Touch
Yeah.
everything. In fact, we
Yeah,
want you
so
to.
weird. Oh my god.
We talk about that so much in all of these cases. We also did the Velisca Axe Murder House as well. Just also the like morbid
Yes.
fascination that people in the Victorian era had with death and with like creepy, scary, gross things. They just
They ate him up. They loved it.
they wanted to witness. Yeah, they loved it. So all of these people wanted to look at the crime scene and the dead bodies, obviously, who are still on the dining table at this
Makes sense why
point.
they put them there.
Up
Yeah, they're like,
with
oh well,
the
people are coming in. We gotta
Yeah.
display them. That's
Come
so
see, come
weird. After
see.
you die, like you're just like, and you're all mangled,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, the whole town's gonna see you.
Yes.
That's so weird to me.
Yeah. So now keep in mind the crowd of people in and out of the house. It's a huge,
lot.
yes,
Yeah.
crowd of people.
What do we imagine?
This is also the same time when police begin searching the house. So the thing is, I couldn't find if it was the police came like right after, before, or during, but in and around the same time, the police are trying to investigate and people are also visiting the house.
Right.
So there's a lot of like, there's many feet trampling the
That's
scene.
perfect. All the interaction in
Yes.
the mix.
Too many hands. Too many hands in the pot.
Way too
Just-
many.
Crisscross. We don't know if the police took evidence. We don't know if it was
Yeah.
a souvenir. Perfect.
Yeah.
So there are a few, not a few, there's a lot. There's a lot of weird things in this case, but especially while this is an active crime scene, because it's not even like closed off, it's not, they don't know what happened yet. They're still trying to investigate, and there's some weird things popping up already. This is a little bit of a side note, but I guess it's kind of significant. One of the officers said while they were searching around, Dr. Bowen, the doctor who also helped to examine like the kind of the family doctor, he's still in the house. And this officer saw him ripping out a bunch of notes from his book and putting them into the kitchen stove to burn them or get rid of them. Some people thought that this was significant, that perhaps he had something written down that he didn't want anyone to see. Why is he burning his notes? I don't know. It never really comes up again. There's not really an explanation for it, but even the officer kind of thought that's a little bit weird. As they're investigating, like, why are you getting rid of notes?
At the crime scene.
Exactly. In the basement, the officers found, 2 hatchets, 2 axes, and a hatchet head with a broken handle.
Okay.
So they assume one of these items has to be the murder weapon.
Hey, girl.
One of these 5 to 6 items have to be.
Hatchets and axes.
They've got a lot. Yeah.
If one breaks, you need a backup, girl.
You need
True.
a
I got
backup for your
2.
backup.
I got 2 in my trailer just in case. You know, you never know.
So Dr. Dolan, Dr. Bowen and Dr. Dolan. Okay, they're the 2 doctors.
Nice names. Bowen and Dolan.
They wash the bodies and then they perform a post-mortem exam in the dining room.
Perfect.
On the dining room table.
Perfect.
Yes. So basically they determine that Andrew had been hit 9 to 10 times, while Abby had been hit closer to 19 times.
Jesus.
I wonder who got the brunt of the
Which-
attack.
That's a significant that's a significant difference between the 2.
Yeah.
And also not a clear explanation why that happened. A weird note also, probably one of the weirdest things that happened while it's an active crime scene, while there's people, while they're examining the bodies, they took all of their bloodied clothes and the carpets that were bloodstained, and they put everything into the basement, into the cellar actually, specifically, and they actually left them there for a few days following the crime.
Okay.
So they didn't take the clothes with them, which did not make sense to me at all, because isn't that literally
Yeah, that's
evidence
usually what they do.
what they
Yeah.
were wearing and the surrounding the carpet. Like, so that's also another strange point. It just seems like the police were just really not.
They've never dealt with
Right?
anything.
They weren't
Yeah,
into
I don't think they
it.
knew what to do. They probably hadn't
No.
had anything like that. So it's like, what do I do with this stuff? We just don't want to keep it in the house, maybe, and just put it in
Yeah.
the cellar. Maybe they thought it would be like safer in the cellar and not be contaminated anymore.
Yeah, we'll put it
Maybe.
safe.
I don't know.
Somewhere safe.
Or they forgot about it after they put
Maybe.
it there.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe they
know.
all need new jobs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had determined after the autopsies that Abby had been the first to be killed. This was confirmed now, and that she had a first blow delivered to the side of her temple, which would suggest that she was actually facing the attacker when she was hit the first time, and then she fell to the floor before getting another 17 to 18 blows to the back of her head.
Wow.
So this wasn't a one and done thing. It was evidently overkill. While Andrew, who evidently had been sleeping on the couch, he was struck directly to his face. All of the hits were directly to the face. And they did confirm that his death occurred very, very close to when police arrived to the scene. So again, within that weird, like, 15-minute period. Now, the deputy marshal, Fleet, interviews Lizzie on the scene while everything is happening. And he notes that Lizzie's responses are very muted and very detached. Now, this is my own personal note. I don't think that that's indicative of anything, because when something traumatic like this happens, judging people but the way that they react to tragedy is also not. Everyone reacts differently. And also, this was her father, her stepmother at the home that she was in while things were happening. So it's a lot going on.
That's a lot to see.
process.
Like as a, you're walking in and you're not expecting anything, and you see your dad that way. Obviously, she didn't know about her stepmom till later, but like she sees her dad.
Yeah.
There's people who are like get really queasy from blood, even if it's like the tiniest amount. So maybe that was the thing for her. They had all still been really sick. So maybe she was still like really, not feeling the greatest. Well, but everyone, some people cry, some people are hysterical, some people don't say anything, and they just kind of like disassociate from life. So you have no idea what's going on.
Yes. That's exactly right. Now, he said, while everything else that she said was pretty monotoned, pretty detached, was his words, he said that the only point that she became even the like slightest bit animated was when he called Abby Lizzie's mother, to which she like kind of jumped up and said, "She is not my mother, she's my stepmother." So he made a note of that, saying, okay, she was very worried about the clarification of who she was to her. So that's something. By 7 p.m., Emma Borden finally arrives at the Borden house, and there's not really any information of how she reacts, what happens. It's the evening now, everybody else has left. By around 9 p.m., they have officers posted guard outside of the house.
Oh, now
around the house,
the crime scene.
in the house. Because at this point, well, yeah,
After
everybody in the entire town had been through it.
Now we think, oh wait.
But still at this point, they don't know how this happened. They don't know who did it. They don't know if they're coming back. Everything is really like,
whoa, yeah.
What is going on?
What the hell happened?
Yes. They're like, okay, we gotta be around just in case something else goes down. So they said that Uncle John, he's still staying at the house. He goes into the attic bedroom where Bridget's bed was to sleep, and Lizzie and Emma have Alice Russell in
They're
the
all
house.
still sleeping
Everybody's
in
the
this
house
house
still, like family.
That's why the cops were probably also there, because they're like, hey, we want to make sure if you guys are still in here, they're coming back for the rest of you.
Yeah.
Wait, what
That's
happened to
exactly
Bridget?
right.
Just my question. If he's sleeping in a room.
So Bridget actually leaves the house that night.
She's the smart one. Okay.
She leaves, and they said she never came back.
Oh.
Yeah,
she was like, this was a little bit too much for me, and she didn't return to the house after that. So it could be a little bit suspicious. I don't know if at this point she was coming to the end of her employment, or she had another job, so she's like, I don't need this. I don't need this
drama.
I'm done.
I don't want the circus.
Yeah.
I'm peacing out. Yeah.
But no. But yeah, basically they said she never came back after that. She's like, no, I don't want anything to do with this. But they invited Alice Russell back to the house. Lizzie did, I guess. And Alice moves into the master bedroom.
What?
which is also a very weird thing. And she stays in at the house for another 4 days. So she's staying with the sisters, but the arrangement of things is super weird because Lizzie is in her own bedroom, Emma's in her own bedroom, their friend is in their parents' bedroom. I guess no one wanted to stay in the guest room. That's where they found Abby.
Yeah.
Well,
So I guess, but it's kind of a weird situation. Even wanting to stay at the house in the first place is also very strange.
Friend's dad's room? Not her dead friend's room. Her friend's dead dad's room. There we go. That's what I meant. But why wouldn't the uncle sleep? Why didn't Uncle John sleep in that bed?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all very strange. And there's no explanation for it either. They were just weird people doing weird things.
Cool.
At around 9:30 p.m., so the officers are still there. They're still posted up. And one of the officers says that he witnessed Lizzie and Alice visit the cellar to empty out a washing bucket in the sink. So I don't know if they were still cleaning up around the house, if they were the ones who had to clean up the crime scene. I guess
think they do, because I know nowadays
probably.
too, if you're left after they investigate and you're staying in your home, you have to clean it up.
Yeah. So he saw them go down into the basement, into the cellar. That's where one of the sinks was. There was only like 2 bathrooms in the house. There was a sink down there. Anyway, so they went and they were doing the washing. But then the same officer reported that he saw Lizzie go back to the cellar by herself shortly after that. And she was washing something in the sink for about a minute, he said. So he thought that it was kind of weird. I don't know how weird it could be if they were still in the process of cleaning things up. She was washing something in the sink. I don't know. But to him, he was like, this is something I need to note.
We're going to write this down.
Yes. So that is basically the whole day, morning to night, of strange things happening. Now, I'm going to tell you some more of the weird details of this case because there are many. It's just all... You thought that was weird, but no, there's more weird things happening. And not just in the case, but actually what happened in the days following the murders as well. It's just a lot of strange activity. The most sort of talked about and glaringly strange aspect of all of this was that Abby claimed... No.
I was like, what?
Lizzie...
That's strange.
She came back?
That is
What? Damn, she's a fighter.
She's like, surprise!
She's a ghost, and she said that? What?
And guess what? Lizzie claimed that Abby had told her she was going to a friend's house, which evidently wasn't true, and that Abby had been laying dead upstairs for the entire morning, pretty much. So a lot of people think it's convenient that she said, oh yeah, she's not at home, so nobody was worried about Abby's whereabouts. But also people are like, did you lie, or did you just assume that she left? Like,
Because you didn't see her.
yeah, and she also, the conflicting thing is she kind of was like, I didn't see her the whole day, but also she knew that she left the house. I don't know, it's all very strange. And the point when she said, I think to Mrs. Churchill, she said, I heard her come in the house, but I didn't see her. So that's another strange point as well, because if she had left the house and come back, it would have been, remember, she was 2 hours before Andrew had passed. Like, she had been in the house for 2 hours, so it would have had to been like she went out for 15 minutes, came back. That would have been something to note as well, but
here's one thing I want to say before. So Abby was found in the guest bedroom, but who was sleeping in the guest bedroom? I feel like this is clue right now, this game. So like, who was sleeping in this guest bedroom? We had Uncle John sleeping in that guest bedroom. He came downstairs and he had some little breakfast, but then Abby was in that room. And she was found, but she was supposed to be 2 hours before that. So if like it's 11 to like 9 a.m., that's your 2 hour period, right? And he left dad left at 9 o'clock to go run errands?
9. Yeah. So
And
they
John
did.
left at 8:48, so he couldn't have left.
But they did say that she was downstairs at breakfast and she went upstairs to clean the guest bedroom once John left. So at one point they did see her. But from that point,
they didn't see her leave.
From her going upstairs, it's kind of, it's a little bit weird.
But yet the maid never saw her laying on the ground when she went upstairs to go lay in bed for 11 a.m. She would have seen her.
No, but if Bridget went up the secondary stairs that go up to the attic, she wouldn't have seen her
back
because
stairs.
They're completely on opposite sides. But there's some other notes which I'll get into. This is also incredibly strange that nobody checked upstairs
Yeah.
for hours. Even when the first officer came to kind of scope the scene, he only checked the main level. He didn't check the entire house, which maybe at that point, if they had thought that it was an intruder or a random person, it's kind of protocol to check the entire house to make sure that nobody's still in the house. But he didn't. It was the main floor. He did, like I said, like a once over, and then he's like, okay, well, obviously something happened. And then also nobody being overly concerned with where Abby was, especially Lizzie.
Yeah.
Like, I guess we can explain away that Lizzie, like,
never cared.
Didn't have a great connection with Abby. So she's like, I don't really care where she is. But that nobody else was like, oh my gosh, where is she? Until like hours into people coming into the house and neighbors coming and the police coming and the doctors. And then everyone's like, oh wait, also there's another person.
Maybe she just got off the wrong foot with everybody, you know? Maybe she just didn't have the greatest personality. We were like, oh God, oh yeah, I forgot about that woman. Like, oh yeah, he married some girl. Like, where is she? I don't know.
It could have been very well. Then we have, despite both Lizzie and Bridget being in and around the house the entire day, neither of them saw anyone or anything suspicious. This is kind of the main point that people go over a lot, is they were present while the things were happening the entire day, and neither of them said that they saw anything in the house. They didn't see anything around the house. They didn't hear anything. That's a very big...
I feel like you would hear something.
Yes, and you're very right to say that, because I found a little blog post about somebody who went to go and visit the Borden house today, and they wanted to do a little experiment when they were on a tour in the house. So they had somebody go to the second floor while everybody else in the group was on the main level, and they had them walk around the second level, and they said you could clearly hear footsteps. They had the person jump and like walk around and move things to see, and they're like, we can hear everything from the first level.
They didn't have
so they said, had Lizzie been in the house when Abby was killed, which she was, because at the time she was doing chores in the house while allegedly, right, things were going on the 2 hours before.
Right, because the maid
They
left.
said there's no way that she, first of all, wouldn't have heard footsteps, but let alone her body falling onto the floor. She would have definitely heard
you
that.
would hear stuff like that. Like in your own home. I know in my own home, I'm downstairs in my room, and upstairs on the main floor, I can hear everything. I can hear who's walking, how heavy their footsteps are. I know when the dog's jumping around, when the cat is like, something falls, you know, and then I'm like, oh no, what just happened? Like, did someone hurt themselves? Did something just fall off the counter? Like things echo, especially in those older homes.
Yeah.
The floors are like thinner too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So she didn't hear anything. People have a hard time believing that. Okay, so things after the fact. This is after the crime was committed, the days following.
August 5th.
Basically, like literally, it's like the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th.
Those are great dates. My best friend's birthday is the 4th, and my dad's birthday is the 5th. So we're just like, that's significant days for me. I'm like, don't forget these dates.
See, we have connections to everything. So the following days, Alice, Lizzie's friend, said that she saw Lizzie burning one of her dresses a couple of days after the murders had happened, and Lizzie claimed that there was paint on her dress. Alice said to her, quote, "You better not let anyone seeing you do that." Obviously, because that looks like extremely suspicious. Why are you getting rid of a dress? But apparently Emma was there, and she was like, no, don't worry. She had paint on her dress. I saw the green paint on her dress. Remember, the exterior of the house was being painted in the couple of days before, right? So she's like, no, don't worry. She was just getting rid of it because it was stained. Another few days after the murders, the house is under constant surveillance. This was mostly because of the press. The local press was bombarding the household and the family members, obviously. But the city marshal said that Lizzie asked him, is there anybody in the house that is a suspect? Like, are you guys suspicious of anybody? And he was like, yeah, you actually. You're our main suspect. They just didn't keep anything to themselves. She then reportedly threw her wrists towards him and said, I'm ready to go now. She was like, take me away, boys. I'm ready to go. Which is really weird because he just said you're a suspect. Like the people in the house are like, we're still investigating. They obviously did not arrest her at this time because they had zero proof in general, but also no proof that definitively linked her to the crimes either. but a lot of people think this could be taken as either an admission of guilt or she was like, I'm so obviously innocent. Take me away now, question me. You're not going to find anything because I didn't do it.
Like, I'm happy to plead my innocence right now and I don't want to wait. Yeah.
Yes. So it could be taken either way, obviously, in hindsight. Now, there are a couple of theories. It's not as cut and dry as we would think. It's not as cut and dry as also the media. Like, we all want the, like, clean bow on top. It was Lizzie and that's it. But there's actually a lot more theories, and they're as strange as the case itself. Okay, so the obvious main theory is that Lizzie was the perpetrator. She had the motive, right? We talked about, oh my gosh, financial stress.
Those pigeons.
Yes.
The pigeons. He killed her pigeons.
Those pigeons. The straw.
Also, her dynamic with Abby.
Yeah, she was.
The tension amongst her stepmother and her, how her and her sister were being perceived, and also how people noted that Lizzie was trying to kind of distance herself from her family for a while. She also had the means to do so. She was at home while everything was taking place. Obviously, they had the, like, plethora of axes and hatchets.
Lots of murder weapons. Yeah.
A lot of choices.
She could have chosen anything.
And then also given her strange behavior both at the time of the murders and afterwards. Remember, she was kind of detached from the situation, but low-key focused on Abby specifying that she's not my mom, she's my stepmother, which was kind of weird. And then burning the dress and just kind of, in general, just acting a little weird. So obviously she's the main person.
And she also went to the friend across the street or the doctor, wherever it was, and said, I think someone's poisoning us. Like, was that like, like preemptive to be like, okay, I'm planning this out, but I need someone to know that I'm also sick and I'm going to claim this. So,
it is interesting. There was a lot of foreshadowing as well with Andrew Borden himself kind of saying like something's going on, and Lizzie saying to her friend Alice as well, I think something bad's happening. There's just weirdness going on, and nobody could like pinpoint actually what was happening. It's just kind of
weird.
Yeah, everything is strange. But all of these, like, the weird behavior, the obviously personality things as well, they were like, okay, fingers are pointing to Lizzie, of course. But there are other theories, and one of the other ones is that perhaps Uncle John was the perpetrator.
Yeah, because
actually.
I know they talked about how, like, Lizzie just didn't have the stature to be able to give that many blows with an axe to her stepmom. And also not look like, she looked stunned when the cops showed up, but she wouldn't have been able to do it in like that quick time for her dad. And I think she would have looked more disheveled. How would she have been able to change so quickly? Because back then your clothes, you have so many layers to your clothing. Like, it's such a short window. She would have been covered in blood everywhere. Her face, her hair, she would have been sweaty and not just looking like she was, like shocked by what happened. Where I feel like her uncle has more of the stature. He would have been able to, and he was gone for a period of time. But
exactly, conveniently showing up kind of at the end.
Like he left, and if Lizzie said, oh, I thought I heard Abby walking around, maybe it wasn't Abby. Because if Abby was already dead, it was probably him. He maybe came back after, got her when he said he was leaving, and then snuck in. So they obviously heard something. Could have been him.
Yes. That's a good point. So actually, a lot of the neighbors believe that John was the person who did this. They suspected him, mostly because he was staying at the house when things were happening, and also because of the little dispute between the properties
and the businesses.
So I didn't dig too much into it, but because Andrew and John were connected, they had dealings together. Potentially he could have felt like, I'm getting the short end of the stick in some of this stuff, or you're giving away properties that I should have a say over as well. Also, like, you brought up the point about him kind of being protective of the girls as well. Like, you're not giving them what they're entitled to. I have to make sure that they get what they need. Like, there's a lot of, he kind of also had motive as well.
And I find it funny too, because if Lizzie and her sister was like, oh, we got this house from our dad, sold it back to him, made money off him, why would they kill him then? Like, it's not like they still had the house and they wanted everything else. Like, they got money from their dad. So it's like they were finding ways to take care of themselves and get what they wanted. So I just find that weird.
Some people also, this is like a little bit of a sub theory to this one. Some people think that he's the one who orchestrated the murders, but had Lizzie or Emma or both of them carry out the murders. So he kind of planted the little seed of like, you guys are not getting what you should be getting. Actually, like, this is your mom's property, or this was your childhood home. You should be getting more. Why is he buying this for Abby? Like, she's not your like.
And they already didn't like her, so he's like, ooh, let's just sprinkle, some breadcrumbs here.
This is perfect. Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of interesting also that he would be the mastermind behind it, but they were the ones to carry it out. I could also see it in the reverse where perhaps they started talking to him about like, this is what's going on.
And because they know Uncle John loves us so much and he wants to take care of us. Because if he loved his nieces so much and he cared so much, I don't see him making them do it. I think it would have been them breadcrumbing him and then him being like, I need to take care of these girls for my sister and make sure they're okay. And then him already mad about whatever else. And then it was just kind of that breaking point.
Perfect.
I can more so see it from that side. So that's kind of an interesting one. Another theory is that the sister Emma was actually the murderer, but that Lizzie took the fall for her. So because allegedly Emma was in the town over or out of town or somewhere else, but nobody had really seen her and she wasn't really involved, like she wasn't around, nobody had seen her. There was also a point when somebody said they saw a woman in the yard at 11 in the morning, and I said, it was probably Lizzie, right? But also they didn't specify that it was Lizzie. They just said, I saw a woman in the yard.
And how did she get home so quick that day? Based on where she was in her little horse and carriage. How long? Like at 9 o'clock at night. I mean, that's still like it's a decent amount of hours, but like, yeah, it's interesting.
It is. So that's another theory. Also, people said she had the same motive, if not more than Lizzie, because again, of the maternal role and feeling like, well, I'm actually entitled to even more because look at me, I was playing mom and wife for a little while before she even showed up.
I raised my sister,
Yes. But yeah, the main thing was that she was out of town. You can't really prove or disprove if she was there or not because nobody saw her. And then the next one we have is the theory that Bridget Sullivan, the maid, was actually the murderer.
Shocker! Who's like, the maid did it.
The maid did it! And it was with the hatchet in the basement. The maid with the hatchet in the basement.
She knew where everything was. I mean, she knew how to clean things great, too. She was like, No.
Some people believe that she may have had motive stemming from being overworked and underappreciated.
Low pay.
Which I could see. And one day she kind of snapped. That kind of goes with the point when she left the house after that and she didn't come back. So some people are like, yeah, that's a little bit suspicious. Was she at the end of her work term or whatever? Or was she like, I can't work for these people anymore?
I think that's very suspicious. I don't think it's just a little suspicious. If you leave and never come back and you've worked for this family, you're supposed to be really close with Lizzie. Why would you leave her during that time? And you were working at the house next door. Like, that's something that I think is they totally bypassed on that.
Yes. And they did not look into it as much as they should have.
Exactly.
The other kind of aspect of this is that they think that she assisted Lizzie with the murders.
And she offered her money.
This is kind of, this is like part of the most widely accepted theory is that Bridget was in on it as well. Mostly because it was the two of them who were in the house basically the whole morning. They were in the house during the time for sure of Andrew's murder, and also that neither of them saw or heard anything despite being in and around the house the whole time. Then there is another really weird theory, and I only found one source for this, but I had to include it because it's really crazy, but also it's like, I don't know if it's proven or not. I found like one article and there's a book written about this. Okay.
I was gonna say, what's that Reddit?
No.
The Reddit rabbit hole.
Although I love Reddit, but right. There's a theory that Andrew Borden had an illegitimate son and he was the one who carried out these murders. Now, allegedly, and this information is genuinely coming from like a friend of a friend of a friend,
one of those
of somebody who knew the Bordens personally. So again, there's not really any way to verify if this is true or not. But they wrote a book basically detailing that it was like his friend's dad or something knew the Bordens personally, and he knew about Andrew Borden having an affair during his first marriage with Sarah Borden, and that he had an affair with a married woman as well, and that she had his son. And apparently the son knew who his biological father was.
Interesting.
And throughout his life, this is what people who knew the illegitimate son, they said that he was kind of menacing and eerie. That was how they described him. And also that
complimentary. Thanks, guys.
Oh my god, he's kind of eerie.
Menacing. Like what?
But also that he was known to carry around an axe with him. Now I did know he lived and worked on a farm.
Doesn't mean you carry
those things are heavy.
Yeah, but
why are you always carrying that with you?
Yeah.
Maybe that was why he was menacing. They're like, brother, I don't know why you need to be carrying that.
You can leave it at home.
And it's like a weirdly coincidental that this guy was known as, right? And some people kind of alleged like he saw that Andrew had all of this money. Meanwhile, he's working on a farm. Like he has no connection to his biological father, but he knows who he is. I don't know. That's a theory, but also how could this be verified?
Yeah, they couldn't verify it then. They didn't have the DNA stuff that we have now. So it's like maybe some features, unless the woman wanted to like, maybe she lied to her son because she wanted some money and she knew he had money and like had some grudge against him. Because, you know, women can be crazy. You know, there's those ones out there.
Yes, of course.
Spiteful. Yeah. Spiteful.
And then the last one, which I guess is kind of the most outlandish theory, but okay, besides the illegitimate son theory, is that this was the work of the quote wild man. Some people believe that there was a transient serial killer around this time and in this area, and we've talked about this a couple times in past episodes. At this point in history in the States specifically, everything was connected by railway stations. So, and they were known to have a lot of transient killers. That was just the thing. This theory was born because a few neighbors reported seeing a strange, unfamiliar man lurking around. And also, this is what they said, that he was acting erratically around the Borden home. I don't really know what that really means. If he was just out of place or if he was genuinely a homeless man at the time and they were like, oh yeah, he looks crazy, so we don't know who he is. Like, you kind of can't really take people at their word. Unfortunately at that time, but people were like, yeah, there was a suspicious man, and a lot of people tied that back to some of the reports of the carriage that was there, and then the random guy who was around. They're like, maybe that was the same person.
But weren't they painting the house too?
They were at one point, yeah.
So what if that man was associated with whatever they saw, or maybe he was the erratic man who's like, I'm going to pretend to get some money from you and paint your house because he's a transient and that's what he did to make money, you know, because they had to make money somehow. Yeah. And then maybe he didn't get paid what he wanted to get paid, and he
came back.
Yeah. See, that's a good point too.
So many different things. Yeah.
The officers couldn't verify this also. It's just speculation and based on eyewitness testimony, which this was all coming after the fact too. So when people are like, yeah, I did see something, it's a lot easier to connect it to something suspicious after something bad has happened. So that's just a theory, but an interesting one nonetheless. So now we get into the trial. There actually was a trial for this. Lizzie was charged for both of the murders, so they did actually get her. But she was never convicted for them.
They got her.
The main reasons why her trial fell through was actually because of the state's defense against her. So they couldn't get consistent witness testimony from anybody, including the officers. Nobody could agree on the actual, like, who they saw, what time it was, what was really going on. Across the board, every single thing in this was, like, contradicting each other. And the most damning part was that nobody could agree on who had found the handleless hatchet in the basement, which they were trying to say in the trial that it was the murder weapon, but they couldn't even say who discovered it. So they're like, this could have been planted by someone. It could have been, and it could have been a random thing. We don't know. So it kind of fell through. It was basically everything in this it's like law enforcement, that like state, like all the everything kind of just. They slipped through their fingers.
Yeah, everyone had their own theories, their own understandings, their own notes. Yeah.
Yes. Also because they never found any bloody clothes or shoes that were in the house or thrown away. And I mean not of the victims, but of the perpetrator.
Right.
So had it been Lizzie, like you said, she would have had to, in
15
an
minutes?
incredibly short amount of time, change her entire outfit down to her shoes,
Wash her
take
face,
a shower, like
hair,
washing every
everything.
single thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And dry it?
Yes.
And they didn't note a single drop of blood anywhere on or around
And they
her,
had those
so
2 bathrooms. I mean, it's harder for her to bathe. Back then, it wasn't easy. It's not like us. We could just like hop in the shower quickly and then be like,
Yes.
get my blow dryer out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take me that quick of a
Yeah,
time
so-
to blow dry my hair. So, you know?
Yeah. Now, the only evidence that they had regarding clothing was that Lizzie was burning one of her dresses in the days following, but even then it was kind of disproven because her sister was like, there wasn't blood, there was paint. And also they both testified that they would often burn dresses that they didn't want anymore, that had stains on them, that were whatever. I don't know if that is like a rich people thing, because they were like, we'll just get rid of it, we won't fix it, we're just gonna.
Well, she was getting a new
dispose
dress
dispose
anyways,
of
right?
it,
She had
get a
gone
new one.
shopping and bought material to make
Yeah.
a whole new dress. But I've heard of this before, where during that time, that's what they would do. They would, just dispose of it. What are we going to do with it? They're not going to pass it on to someone.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we don't want to mingle with people where we have to pass it on. And if you've got money, no one's wearing someone else's dress,
Yeah. So it was easier to just get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was kind of the red herring of the trial, but basically they said that a group of local boys were trying to retrieve a lost baseball in the neighbor's yard or something like that, and they reported that they actually found a hatchet on the roof of the neighbor's house.
Oh.
And they kind of suggest that maybe the killer threw the hatchet while they were escaping. Maybe, potentially, we don't know. Also, further proving that the police had neglected to search the area properly. They didn't really even search the house, so they didn't look anywhere for anything. Had they done that, maybe they would have found that. Anyways, they also said that there was a trace of a specific metal that was found in Abby's wounds and also found on the roof hatchet.
Okay.
So they kind of connected the metal material to that. I don't know if it was the same metal or different than what the other axes and hatchets in the house were made of. They didn't really say, but they kind of connected that to being more likely being the murder weapon than the broken hatchet
in the basement.
Basically, this just created so much reasonable doubt, so they couldn't convict her. Ultimately, the case was committed to the jury, and they deliberated for 66 minutes before returning a verdict of not guilty. There just was not enough solid evidence to prove that it was Lizzie, and not even to prove who it was. There just was a lack of evidence in general. After her acquittal, Lizzie Borden inherited a fortune, of course. She bought herself a grand mansion. She named it Maplecroft Mansion. Isn't that cute? Okay, anyways. And she lived a quiet but socially ostracized life.
Yeah.
Still in Fall River, Massachusetts, until her death of pneumonia in 1927. So she lived a fairly long life, but she didn't want anything to do with anyone.
No, that's
Yeah,
understandable.
that's fair, girl.
And also, after being publicly named a murderer, and still to this day, people believe that she's the one who
Killed them.
who did it. So she was basically shunned. There was not much more that she could do. Now we get into our favorite part, and that is the spooky.
I love the spooky.
And there's a lot of spooky stuff.
Yeah.
And not just like the case itself is super weird, but like what is going on in the house still is even weirder. The Borden house today still stands. It was actually converted into a bed and breakfast a number of years ago and has since held a lot of overnights and investigations. A lot of people like to visit this place.
Shocker. Girl.
I want to visit this
Yeah,
place.
same. I know my son's asked me too, because my 12-year-old is like into that type of stuff. So he's like, can we go to the Lizzie Murder House? Can we go to Lizzie Borden House? He watches Sam and Colby. I was able to take him to a haunted in Gettysburg. We went to the Tilly Pierce Inn, and we were the only people who stayed in that night. It was a little creepy.
Oh my
Yeah, it was just him and I, and we're like, oh God. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. And she doesn't, but
That's like me and Avery. Avery is like, I'm like, Avery, let's go do all these things, because like in Penetang, there's the Beck House, and you can rent the top apartment, and it's haunted. We did an episode on it, and I'm like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta rent it. We'll go with my sister, and she's like, okay, I'll go, but like I'll cry the whole time. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly how we are. All of these places, I'm like, we're gonna go here and here, and Mackenzie's like, I'll wait
Avery.
outside
She's like,
for you
I'll be back
from a
here.
distance.
Yeah, honestly, no thank you. You let me know how it is. I believe it.
So this place has a reputation,
Girl, I believe.
for being extremely haunted. And there's no question that when tragic events happen, there's some kind of energetic, spiritual imprint that's stuck. We talk about it thousands of times about how materials and locations hold on to energy, especially when something like very intense happens. And over the years, a lot of visitors have reported some very weird activity that may suggest an intense haunting. In general, visitors, paranormal investigators, and overnight guests frequently report hearing unexplained footsteps moving through empty rooms and both of the staircases as well. Sudden cold spots that will appear and disappear without any obvious cause.
Classic. Yep.
Disembodied voices. Some have reported hearing crying as well.
Ooh, I don't
that's
like
just me.
that. That's
Yeah.
you. I'm like, get me out of here.
Oh my god, it's myself.
It's just me, guys. Sorry.
And then an overall sensation of being watched, which it's the classic signs of hauntings, right?
Check.
But some people have even reported sounds of children's voices and laughter, which actually makes me feel a little bit sick because there were not children in the house. And as far as I know, the Bordens were the first people to move in here. They lived in the house for about 20 years, so it doesn't really, like, there were no children during that time. It was just Lizzie and Emma. So there being kind of children ghosts, it's a little bit strange and out of place.
I find, so once that Avery and I have come across, and we have those too, where it's like, oh, you hear children, but there was never children in there. But typically what they say is that when you pass on and your soul still stays, usually you go back to the place where you were like the happiest in your life, and also in your that time period of life. So that could have been a time period before even Abby showed up, and maybe it's Lizzie and her sister during that time when they were the happiest together, when it was just the three of them, and they're just kind of living that life in that loop over and over again in that spot, which is like something I like to think of.
Yeah, that's actually because once Abby came into their lives, Lizzie was like 5 or 6. Emma was a little bit older, but yeah, if they were kind of going back to the time before
all of that changed,
all of the tension in the house, was happening, then that would make sense. I could see that. That's like even sadder.
It is sad to think, but like it's kind of like reassuring to know that like one day that could be us too, right? Like you always go back to the happiest times in your life, and you always reminisce on those things. So if your soul's like, hey, I want to stay here, but I'm staying here because this is what I remember, and that's how I'm going to be. Sometimes I think I find that like I would find that reassuring to hear like laughing children, crying children. No, I'm out. Like, but I'll take the laughing children, just not menacing laughing children.
Yeah. Maybe not like at nighttime.
Yeah, during the day's okay, you know?
Yeah.
The sun out.
Some people have also reported seeing a woman making the bed in the guest room, which may allude to it being Abby, still kind of going through the process of what she was doing, right?
Because she's stuck in the loop. That's how she died. Like there is a place. Yeah, we covered an episode of a place that gets in Niagara Falls, and there is a ghost that's in the one bedroom. He ended up dying in that room. He had a heart attack, and when mediums and stuff go in, what they find is that it's his soul in there living the same thing over and over again, because it's like he didn't expect to die. He died in that room, and it's like he just can't get out of it because he doesn't know what happened to him. And so that's sad, right? Like as a ghost, you're not a happy laughing child, but you're now making a bed over and over again for eternity.
it makes me feel better to think of it more like it's not like an actual spirit that's stuck, but it's kind of like your like leftover energy
You
that's
unfinished business, right?
like,
So
yeah, like going through the loops because that's like, yeah, if your consciousness
Mhm.
is trapped, that's like
That is
kind of
scary, yeah.
scary and sad. But I can see also like when something like
Mhm.
intense or dramatic or tragic happens that there's like an energy imprint that it almost like detaches from
hmm
the person and it's kind of there. But yeah, that's we talk about it a lot, like residual things that it's just going
Yeah,
over
it's
and
your residual
over.
PTSD,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have it in living
Yes.
form, you constantly live it over and over again with things that trigger
Yeah.
it. And I could see that it stays in the afterlife because it was something that
Yeah.
you weren't expecting. You were expecting to continue. You had things still left to do in your lifetime.
Yeah. In the same room, in the guest room, people also report seeing like an actual imprint in the bed as if somebody was laying there
Your
when
face
nobody was
is like,
there.
yeah, that's it. No thanks.
She's like, I want to go.
We'll
Let's
stay in that
go.
room too.
Girl.
Just for you.
Yeah, I want to be in that bed. She's like, okay, I'll stay at the hotel down the street. I'm good.
I don't know who you think you're talking to right now.
So then, some of these are like the significant rooms of the house and the activity in the parlor room / living room where Andrew Borden was found. A lot of guests have reported hearing male voices, plural,
Oh,
also, not just one, but plural, gasping, which is kind of scary and interesting, footsteps, unexplained sounds. Also, a lot of people get the most EVP recordings and responses in the living room. I can't remember if this was in like a YouTube video I saw or somebody talking about like in a blog post of them visiting, but they said that they had on recording. It almost sounded like a conversation between two people, but it was like
yeah.
muffled. And they said it kind of sounded like an argument, like the tone of it was a little bit interesting.
If it's manly voices that you're hearing, and like you had said, there was disagreements between the father and the uncle, that could be them living that again because nothing was resolved.
Yes. And then also kind of my mind goes back to a lot of activity happening in the guest room, and that's where Uncle John was staying at the time too. So it could be a connection.
I know that Morbid stayed there with another podcast, their friends, Two Girls, One Ghost. And I know they experienced a few things during their time there.
Yeah.
And it was mainly in the living room. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, see, it's interesting that in the rooms where the things happen, it's not just every which way. I'm just saying. So then, okay, going back into the guest bedroom where Abby Borden was found, some visitors describe intense feelings of unease.
I have a deep, intense feeling of unease right now, so I can imagine space.
Exactly. And also, like in general, feeling watched too was kind of one of the things. And then also this one was interesting, but this was the room where people said they would feel like physical sensations, like being touched or even pushed, specifically near the spot, like on the floor where he was found. So that's weird. Also reports of EMF anomalies, so like the energy spikes, and unexplained activity concentrated around the room. Just in general, there's some things going on. And then in the basement, which is kind of
I don't like basements.
Weird because
as I sit in one right now, I hate them.
Me too, us too. But it's interesting because nothing happened in the basement, and this is true in a lot of the stories that we talk about. Nothing happens in the basement, but there's a lot of like strange activity going on.
Did put all those things from the crime scene in the basement, right? So there's still like I think energy to it. You've got the blood, that type of stuff. So there might be some sort of residual energy that's attached to it, or maybe that land just had residual energy to begin with from years prior to it.
Yeah. We debate that often if it was the like tragic event that brought about this energy or there was an energy there to begin with that kind of facilitated some bad things happening. So we don't know. Yeah. One of the most consistently reported hotspots in the house is the basement, and staff members, tour guides, and investigators have all described seeing dark shadow figures in the basement.
No, thank you.
Or human-shaped masses.
It's okay.
And then also sensing an overwhelming presence, which is interesting. A lot of the people said that this activity is more so associated with something darker, like a darker presence. Yeah. which again, like I said, nothing happened like in the basement, but I will say to your point of the clothes and the carpets being left in the basement, they also found the hatchet
Possible. Yeah.
and all of the possible murder weapons. So potentially, hypothetically, if the murderer had to have gone down to the basement to leave the murder weapon or to retrieve it. So if
Clean
that
up.
like spirit is still there, I don't know. So, but there's something dark in the basement. And then in the attic rooms upstairs on the top floor, overnight guests have repeatedly described vivid nightmares, feelings of dread, unexplained sounds resembling children playing, or like marbles bouncing across the floor.
There's not even a chance that we're like, I can't
You're really selling it for her, okay? She's like, let me pack my bag right now.
It's so fun here.
You and Avery would get along so well right now. You'd both be like, we're out.
Yeah, you guys go have fun. We'll stay at the hotel down the street. We'll do another collab. That'll be it.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, the most of the ghost children activity is in the attic.
Usually ghost children.
So overall, some think that it's most likely a residual haunting here, like we said about kind of being stuck in a loop of what was leading up to the murders itself. Some people think that maybe the energy of the family living their daily lives or doing daily habits can explain some of like the footsteps, especially going up and down the stairs or in the rooms. They lived there for 20 years also, that's a long time. And back then, days were very routine. You do this, you clean, you do this, you go here. It was very structured. So I can see that, the residual energy of repeated movements. Others have a little bit of a more sinister theory that it's actually something a lot darker and intelligent because of the physical activity, like people being touched and kicked and pushed and things. Also because of the darker presence in the basement. So a lot of people think that that's most likely unrelated to the actual Bordens, and it is either something that was there well before they got there, well before the houses were even on the land, or because of the severity of the murders that it kind of drew in something darker.
And they say that like if you bring in, like if you carry a lot of negative energy, like you're hostile, like a hostile environment, so everything, if everything in that house was fine and they didn't experience anything and they were all good and they were happy, and then Abby came in, maybe Abby carried some sort of negative energy with her, but she also caused some negative energy in turmoil within that house. And usually if there is a negative presence, it feeds off that negative energy even more and heightens it, and then they become stronger, and it can cause kind of a ripple effect, but to like the people who live in the house, all these crazy things where Lizzie was like, I'm gonna shoplift, I'm gonna have a bad attitude, like, you know, the fight between the uncle and the dad, because the dad's like, oh hey, now I want to give away stuff, and it just kind of was like a ripple effect that caused all these bad things. And that's maybe why she's like, I feel like something bad's gonna happen, because there could have been more bad things that happened in their life that nobody knew of because they didn't talk about it. They don't talk about things back then, right? So I believe in that because I feel like I lived it at some point in my life too. It's so strange.
And to that point too, having their uncle coming and staying with them for a couple of days, we don't know a lot about him, what he was into, what he was doing, if he was a good or a bad person. We
Shady
have no
business
idea.
deals, he could have been.
And if we go along the theory of he had something to do with the murders, maybe he came in with bad intentions. And that
did he care
something
about
up.
the girls? Because if he cared and he did do something bad, why do you let Lizzie take the he should have protected her, you know what I mean? So it's still a little sus. That man's very sus.
Yes, he is. So that was basically some people think it might be a little bit a darker energy in there. So another person who stayed in the attic claimed to have been woken up by the sound of a ball bouncing or rolling across the floor. And when she relayed this to the tour guides afterwards, they said that this was a common experience and that nobody can explain the sounds because, like, they said that first of all, there's no really record of children being in the house, but also that nobody lived in the attic. It was only Bridget Sullivan for the time that she was staying with the family. She would stay in the attic, but nobody lived there. It was nobody's room at any point. So for there to be like a bunch of energy up there, they're like, this kind of the same with the basement.
Because John stayed up there afterwards.
Maybe. Hey.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that little piece. Strange. Why was he up there?
I
don't trust this man.
He's kind of a shady character.
Definitely don't either.
So that's it for our spooky stuff. That's a lot
I
of
love
spooky
that. I love that episode. I actually love like the history, you know, like all the different theories, because there is some stuff that I hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to get like every single little thing and then start to piece it all together. Cause like I listen to other people do it and you don't really like kind of be able to chime in and be like, wait a minute, take a second.
Yeah.
But
What
yeah,
about
so like,
this? Yeah.
that whole uncle is now a real suspect in my mind.
Yes. After writing this, I was like, okay, I don't know. It could be anybody, but now I'm kind of.
He left at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And was just gone.
It just, just like very suspiciously timed, like everything.
It's strange. And it's sad that he let let Lizzie take the fall. But like, even if he didn't, why did he let his niece go through that if he was trying to be there for them? And like, I don't know. I think that man is sus. And the police definitely didn't do what they were supposed to do. Clearly didn't do their job. But no, I love the fact that like all the hauntings with it and people's experiences and that they kept it and you can go stay. Like it's morbid because obviously like people lost their lives in it. And it's sad in that aspect, but it is part of history. So there you go.
Yes.
Spend some time in there.
That aspect is interesting. I do have one last point, and it's a fun fact.
Okay.
Fun fact.
And I love adding these little sprinkles into that
Trivial questions.
But I was looking because you are joining us, and I was like, I need some sort of connection to Canada and some sort of okay. This is also just like a very weird point, but all it so funny. I don't know why, but for some reason the Bordens are related to almost everybody in the world. Like they're super related to everyone.
Oh, they got an incest family like hardcore? Okay.
Well,
that's pretty much what it took, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, to get there. There was a lot of mixing and the same mingling. Yes.
I'm just going to tell you some of the people that are related. Firstly, Winston Churchill is apparently related to Lizzie Borden through his American-born mother. That's just in history. I didn't know that his mom was American.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But one of the really cool ones was that actually Marilyn Monroe is said to be related to Lizzie Borden.
Can I tell you that Marilyn Monroe died on August, was it 4th or 5th? She died on my dad's birthday, August 5th. That's when she died.
Oh,
1960. I think it was my dad's
birthday,
actually. 1960 or 1962. Because my dad talks about it all the time. Yeah.
Wow.
I just got shivers. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that gave me too.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. So she is said to be some kind of distant relative of Lizzie Borden because she's a direct descendant of Richard Borden, who happens to be an ancestor of Lizzie's. So they're related but distantly. But that's also weird, the other connection.
Yeah, whoa.
Ooh,
yeah. Because I never actually realized when Lizzie, like when the deaths happened. Like I knew it was the summer, but I had no idea like the specific dates. So
the dates,
that just blew my mind. It's funny because when you were talking about the dates, I was like, oh yeah, Marilyn Monroe like died around that time in like 1960 or whatever, 1962, I can't remember. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you just have this fact and I'm like, mind blown.
Yeah, weird. And then Sir Robert Laird Borden, he was Canada's 8th Prime Minister.
Oh.
He's allegedly related to the Borden family. And also, this is like crazy. Also, there was, I guess she's a Canadian actress at some point in history, Olive Borden, and also Canadian Minister Frederick Borden. They're all loosely related to Lizzie Borden.
Interesting.
So related to Canada relation, I got it.
Okay, so Marilyn Monroe died August 4th, 1962. So, yes.
The murders happened August 4th, 1892. So,
but like August 4th, like what? That's not. That's
crazy.
Oh my God. So crazy. That's it. You know what? I love those little facts. Those are so cool.
I love that. There's just one more that there was an actress, Elizabeth Montgomery. She was the actress who played the role of Lizzie Borden in a TV biopic. She's actually Lizzie's 6th cousin once removed. So the actress who played her is also related to her.
Did she know that going in though?
I don't know. I didn't look too deeply into it, but I would probably guess she didn't know because 6th cousin once removed is pretty distant, right? So, but that's
weird.
Everything related to the Bordens is like super weird.
Yeah.
Right?
That's crazy.
That's pretty much it. That's all we've got.
Awesome.
We don't know who done it. We still don't know exactly how it happened, and I think that's why this case is still talked about so much today, because all of it is a mystery. Who did it, how it happened, how they got away with it. what the actual murder weapon was.
Especially with the time frame and like the timestamps and everybody. So that's a pretty crucial timeline and timestamps for that period of time. People to be documenting so much of it, and there was still like what happened.
Still so much to interpret.
That's exactly right. Who do you guys think could have committed this murder? Do you think it was Lizzie? Do you think it was Uncle John? Who now I'm
the maid? We don't know.
Way more suspicious of.
I thought it was John. I thought it was John as soon as.
Could it have been more than one person?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Could it have been multiple people?
A whole family thing.
Maybe. Or was it somebody else entirely? Was it this illegitimate son or the wild transient man? The wild man. We don't know. If you have any of your own spooky, witchy, or paranormal stories, we want to hear them, and you can send them to ttalestalks@gmail.com or send them to us through our spooky stories submissions form in our link tree.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the podcast and share it with a fellow Twitchy Witchy. And you can find us on Instagram at @ttalestalks to keep up to date with what we're doing and whenever a new episode drops.
Until we meet again, our Twitchy Witchy friends, stay spooky and don't let your tea get cold.
I love it.
Looking for your next obsession? The Creators Collective Podcasts is your gateway to the dark, the chilling, and the downright fascinating. We're a community of independent podcasts with one goal: to share the best in true crime, paranormal tales, folklore, and unexplained mysteries. Whether you crave cold cases that won't stay closed, haunted histories that refuse to be forgotten, or stories that make you sleep with the lights on, there's a show waiting for you in the collective. And when you join us, you're not just listening to one podcast. You're stepping into a world of creators who love this stuff as much as you do. Check out the Creators Collective today. Follow the link in our show notes to discover your next favorite podcast. We'll be waiting for you.